Ramayana. This is a beautiful scripture, this Ramayana, and many they consider Ramayana as the history of India. This is one of the histories. The Ramayana and Mahabharata, these are the two histories of the India. And Ramayana based on Sri Ramachandra and how Ramachandra did all this, but at the same time they go on giving the descriptions of the Diden society. We are now and then, whenever there is an opportunity, we are describing that. We are analyzing those. Now let us start with this stotra. Yan maya vashabarti vishamakilam brahmadi devasura yat sattvad amrishaiva bhati sakalam rajyo yatha he brahmaha yat pada plabamiva bhatihi bhavambo desti tirshabatam bandhoham tamasheshakara param ramakhyam isham harim. I salute the Supreme Lord Hari, known as Rama, the cause transcending all relative causes. Now here in this verse it is very clear the Sri Rama, though apparently shows as a human being, but in reality he was that Supreme God who took that form, the human being, whose mysterious power controls all being in the world, including Brahma, Devas and Asuras, whose substance gives reality to all things, as the rope does to the snake appearing on it, and fit alone before a spiritual aspirant as a boat for crossing the ocean of samsara. Sri Ramachandra, we consider him that he is the Supreme Lord, the Vishnu, and appearing in that form as Sri Ramachandra and guiding the humanity towards his goal. What is the goal of the humanity? The ultimate goal is to get the bliss, the joy, the happiness. Whatever we do, we always do to get the happiness. Three things only that we want. And when I went to this Riyadh, the capital of the Saudi Arabia, they organized, this is the first time perhaps, and they wrote there, the first time the heartland of the Muslim, the Islam, they opened up for all the religions. That is a unique thing, and in a grand way they organized. And I got little opportunity to speak over there, and I told them only three things every human being wants. One is they like to survive, they like to live, no one wants to die. Second, we want to know what is happening, what is this, what is that. That curiosity is always there by nature within the human being. And third, we want happiness, joy. So these are the only three things. And when we get it from the worldly things, that is temporary. So naturally that sometimes it stops. But when that turns to spirituality, we get the same three things eternally. What are those three things? The eternal existence and knowledge eternal, bliss eternal. The existence eternal, knowledge eternal, bliss eternal. And the Vedantin, they gave that name the Brahman. Now this is a concept which is very difficult for ordinary people to have, to understand. Then what we do? These great souls again, they then gave an wonderful another idea that the God, the Supreme Lord, is coming down and taking a human form and living with us and helping us, guiding us through their life itself, what we should do. So this is the whole thing, it goes, the spiritual life. And the very first one who came is Sri Ramachandra, the complete, that Supreme Lord. He came in the form of Sri Ramachandra. Because the total existence of the creation has been in the not in the Veda, but in the other scriptures, they say that there are 4 yugas are there, the time frame: Satya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Satya, Treta, Dwapar and Kali. And Satya, Treta, Dwapar and Kali, Satya Yuga, it was not necessary. The people who were there, the number was not many, and at the same time most of them, they were created directly by the Brahma, and they were having the Sattva Guna. Then came the next stage where it was necessary for the Lord Vishnu, the creator, to take the human form to guide the human being, and he came as Sri Ramachandra. After that, Sri Krishna. So anyway, this Ramachandra, and about him we have already read, and today, because the last month we could not read the Ramayana for some reason, I was not getting some time, you two could not, so we couldn't continue. But in this month we will continue from the last where we ended in the April, and that is Sri Ramachandra entering into that famous place Panchavati and asking his brother to make a house, a cottage, so that they can stay over there, because the 14 years they have to spend over there. So what are the things necessary? The first is it must have some fruits, must have some other foods, must be free from the enemy, must have the clear water and all those things. So both the brothers, they judge and they decided one place. Here we find the Lakshmana, though himself was the son of the Dasharatha, the brother of Rama, but he was so humble to Sri Ramachandra, and he said, "O Rama, please order me which place you want me to construct a house, and I will do that. But I am not going to decide the place myself." So just a small one line, but it seems what is there? Nothing. But think of the the ego free. The Lakshmana was completely free from the ego. And who is Ramchandra? The Lord Vishnu himself. And how the Lakshmana could be constantly with him? Because the Lakshmana was not having any ego, which separates us from God. Rama is the God, and Lakshmana is the devotee like us. The Lakshmana was so close to Sri Rama. Rama was so happy, and he said that that there are 2 lives. One is inside, another outside. You are my external life. By that way, he is appreciating, and obviously we can understand it was possible because the Lakshmana was not at all having any ego. And this, when it was decided that a heart should be constructed so that the Rama, Lakshmana, Sita, all they can live, Lakshmana could, and he himself was a very good craftsman, so he could do it, but he is not doing. He is asking Sri Rama. That is Ramayana. When we are studying the Ramayana, what we are learning, not only the story, through 1 or 2 lines, through the stories, we are learning the wonderful teaching of the spirituality, the free from ego. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna again and again, everywhere he mentioned, Ami mole ghuchibe janjal. If you are free from the ego, then all problems are solved. The free from ego. Lakshmana is asking, then the Rama showed the place, well, you can do it over here, and then Lakshmana built with almost in no time. And here we can see the craftsmanship of the Lakshmana. Not only he is humble, but he is capable also. So when we come to serve the God or a holy person, not only that we should be humble, but we should be capable. The Lakshmana was so capable. Immediately he went and cut down the trees and prepared all the logs and constructed that house in such a nice way so that the cool breeze will come at the same time, that all this privacy should be maintained and all those things. And along with that, he arranged a beautiful flower garden and these and that. Rama was so happy. So they started living over there. But now that one lady, she used to live nearby, the Rakshasas, they used to live nearby. They were also very successful people, but the system was different. So one lady came, saw these two young men, and she went to Rama. Rama refused. Then she went to Lakshmana. Lakshmana quickly he used to get the anger. When she asked Lakshmana to marry her, Lakshmana, instead of killing her, cut her nose. That was a great mistake. Again, the Rama said, you made a great mistake. You should not have insulted her like that. And from here begins that Ramayana. Now this lady, she was not an ordinary lady. She was the sister of Ravana. And Ravana was having other brothers also. And obviously, she first went to a place called Janakasthana. And there she met that two very powerful brothers and complained about the Rama and Lakshmana. And then the description that we have already studied in our last class. Now here the whole thing was over. Shara and Dushana, the two very powerful the Rakshasas were killed, and then 14,000 strong the Rakshasa team came to fight with Rama, and Rama alone was fighting with them. And he killed, punished them one and all, all the 14 were, 14,000. Then alone he could kill them. Only one person was surviving, and he left that place, and he was Akampana. Akampana, his name, that Rakshasa, in that from that war field, he understood that it is of no use trying to fight with Sri Rama. So from there he secretly left that place, and and for many days he walked, and somehow he reached to the palace of Ravana. And Ravana would not have got this information except this Akampana. The Akampana reached to the Ravana, and he said, O king, all the Rakshasas of the Janasthana are dead. With great difficulty I have come to you to give you this message. Now Janasthana was a place where the Rakshasas were in big number. They used to live over there. So obviously it was very well known among the Rakshasas. So from there he went and reported to Ravana, and Ravana was very much aware about that place because all his kith and kin are there. They used to rule that place. The Ravana was taken aback. What do you say? Shara, Dushana, it is unbeatable people. How it is possible that someone killed him, and not only killed them, 14,000 the strong, the Rakshasas, all of them are killed only by one person, and that is Sri Rama. So he is reporting. Ravana, naturally, the Ravana was, that symbolizes, that is, the three gunas are there, Sattva, Raja and Tama. Ravana is Raja and Tama mixed. So immediately anger came into Ravana. His face became red, and he stood up and said, "Even the death is afraid of death. I am the death of the death. Even the death, that is the Yamaraja, he is also afraid of me. How come someone can challenge me?" Why it is challenging? Because Sharadushana was his own people. They were all his own people. When someone is hurting the Sharadushana means they are also challenging the Ravana. So Ravana immediately became very angry, and who dares to destroy my people? This moment I will go over there and kill them. Kill him, he said. Then Akampana, with great humility, said, "O great king, there is no doubt that even the gods are afraid of you. But please listen to me. I want to tell you the truth, O Lord. The Sri Rama, the son of King Dasharatha, is the foremost of the bowmen. I myself have seen him killing at ease thousands of powerful Rakshasas all alone." And he was mentioning about Sri Rama, and there he is mentioning, that is also very interesting, there is no fear or anger on his face. When the Rama is fighting, there is no fear or anger on his face. Why? Because Rama was contented. The anger comes for ordinary people, because there is an object I am not getting, so I have to get that, I have to secure that, so the anger comes. But when there is nothing to achieve, nothing to get, just doing, just like a game, so Rama, who was the Lord himself, the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, the God, so his face was calm and composed, there was no anger and no question of fear. Why the fear comes? When we think that we are going to lose something. So no question of that. So Rama's face was free from fear or anger. Sometimes when the people, they draw the picture of Rama or the god, like the goddesses like Durga, their face should be very calm and composed, because they are not angry. When we are enacting Durga, many places we have seen, they are showing the anger. No.
Swamiji, I'm so sorry, Swamiji. I muted you by mistake.
What is that?
Can you unmute, please?
Oh. You have not unmuted me. Have you heard it?
Yes, we're hearing you now. I'm so sorry.
Oh, so the whole time, half an hour?
So half an hour you didn't listen to anything from me.
I'm so sorry. Somebody just joined and I tried to mute them. And I muted the wrong person.
But that you have heard me from the beginning? No.
Yes. I just.
Just this moment. Okay, no problem. Okay. So I will just repeat that this is the way the things were happening. That the Rama, he was punishing those, but at the same time he was not angry at all. So this Akampana, that the only Rakshasas who survived that fight in the Janasthana, he was reporting to Ravana, "O Ravana, this person is a unique one." Why? Because when there is a fight, usually the face is, the anger is shown, or sometimes the fear is shown, but nothing is there on his face. He is so handsome and good looking, but we are no match in fight with him. So that is the perfect report, the correct report. When someone is giving the report to the king, he should say exactly what is there. So he said in this way, "O king, This Rama has a brother, then he is mentioning. This Rama has a brother, his name is Lakshmana. He is as equal as Sri Rama. O Ravana, Sri Rama alone destroyed our Janasthana. The whole that place was destroyed. If both the brothers try to kill all the Rakshasas, they can do that. That was the report of that person who survived, who saw that how they are fighting. So from his experience he is coming and reporting. Only one brother, he is so powerful, all our power couldn't do, 14,000 we couldn't do. Now if both the brothers, they come and join hands, then it will be impossible for us. Hence, from my experience, I would suggest, this person is telling, don't try to fight these two brothers. Rather, find out some other way to punish them. Some other way to punish them he is mentioning, then he will give the suggestion. He will say, so this Rama has a wife and she is very young. So if we can somehow abduct her, then the Rama will be weak and we can punish him by that way. Now if she is completely safe, we won't be able to fight him. So this is the person who first gave this idea to Ravana. Ravana never thought in that way. Ravana wanted to fight Rama, and as usual, but sometimes some people, they give this type of peculiar ideas, and from here the Ravana, afterwards of course, not only he, the Ravana's sister, she also said like this. The Ravana, he said, the two brothers we cannot fight. Ravana got up from his throne and declared, O Akampana, I am not weak either, and I am not afraid of those two brothers. I shall go to Janasthana and destroy these two brothers. Ravana's sisters, Shurpanakha, who witnessed the destruction of those 14,000 Rakshasas, including Shara and Dushana, said to Ravana, I have noticed Rama shooting arrows and in a flash. That is also something to learn, how they are so powerful. In those days, in the Mahabharata also, we find the Maharatha, Ratha and different grades are there. And in the Mahabharata, they mentioned that one who could fight alone with so many thousands of people, they will get this title. And like that. So this is, we find about the Rama also. Surpanakha, she noticed it, that when the Rama is fighting, she is fighting alone with 14,000 the Rakshasas. They were also very good fighters. But the Surpanakha is describing, you cannot see when his hand is reaching the quiver, lifting the arrow, placing it on his great bow and then shooting. In flash he is doing. So that is the way we can understand how powerful Sri Rama was. Though he was very young, but at the same time, when he is one person fighting with 14,000, is it possible? Are they coming one after another? Not like that. Even together they are coming attacking, but he was so fast and so swift, and so his arrows were also, and there she mentioned, and surprisingly, his quiver was never emptied. How many arrows can be there in that quiver? But the Rama's quiver, and it is mixed with the divine grace, it never ever emptied. The Rama was picking up and shooting again and again. So one does Akampana, another, those who are witnessed this, the Surpanaka, both they are talking, giving the idea about the Rama's capacity. And he says, O king, Rama's quiver never gets emptied. Father, O brother, he has a brother, and who didn't kill me because I am a woman, but he is also very powerful. And we find in the Aranyakanda in 34 to 14, there in the Ramayana, it says, he is Amarshi, Durjaya, Jeta, Vikranta, Buddhiman, Bali, Ramasya, Dakshino Bahu, Nittam Prana, Bahishcharaha. So their observation is so perfect. So they are beautifully explaining about the Lakshmana. And he is Amarshi. Amarshi means angry. As a male, and particularly Kshatriya, the Kshatriya clan, they are very powerful and they become angry. If that anger is not there, a Brahmana should not have the anger, but the Kshatriya should have. So the first quality, that he is angry, and Durjaya, unbeatable. No one can conquer him. That is the unbeatable Durjaya. Jeta, but he destroyed the others. Vikranta, very powerful. Buddhiman, intelligent. Balihi, hero. So he is Amarshi, Durjaya, Jeta, Vikranta, Buddhiman, Balihi. Ramasya Dakshino Bahu, he is as if the right hand of the Sri Rama. Wherever Sri Rama there, immediately Lakshmana was also there. So he was as if the right hand of the Rama, and as if he was a prana, he was so close to Rama. As a man cannot survive without the prana, the vital force, similarly he was like that, and externally he was the prana. So this is the way she was mentioning. So both of them, they told, it won't be really good if you go to fight him immediately. So afterwards the Ravana thought that, well, now let me go to one person who can help me. And Ravana is going to his brother, another brother, and uncle, we can say, and Maricha, and going to Maricha and asking him to help. Why? Maricha had a power, and that power to change his body in different forms, the yogic power. In those days also there were people, even among the Rakshasas, who were having this type of yogic powers. The Maricha, he could take different type of forms. He could become animals, he could become bird, he could become different human being. So that is the reason the Rama is going to him for his help. And you know, in Janakasthana, where my brothers Shara and Dushana and my sister Shurpanaka and others are there, Trishira lived, and the other Rakshasas also reside, and one person has come, they killed each and every one of them. Trishira, he was having 3 heads. He was also killed by the hand of the Rama. So the Ravana going and telling him. And in everything, well, in Lanka, that when he saw the Ravana, immediately he understood the Ravana will not come without any purpose. He has come with a purpose, and what is that purpose? He wanted to know. Ravana said, O Maricha, I am indeed in distress, and you are my only help in difficulty. I shall immediately tell you everything that has happened. Just listen to me. Friends, devotees, when we are reading this Ramayana, we can find exactly this thing happened even today. When someone, some king or the rulers are finding difficulty, they go for their friends. They will be going and meeting and developing. Recently, that G7, that means the Great Seven, so they met in the Germany. So all these European and American countries, they all met over there, discussed. They are friends, they are allied, they are developing that power together. So this always happens. And the Ravana also was having the great support from the brother, the Shara, Dushana, Trishara, all them. And now they are dead. The whole area is, there no Rakshasas are there. So obviously he was thinking to go and fight, but when he heard that it will be maybe difficult to challenge them right this moment, so he wanted to take another way to make the enemies Rama and Lakshmana weak. So he has come to this person who was having a tremendous power, yogic power, to change his form. Now he came. Rama, who along with his wife, has been banished by his father, that weak and the lowest of the Kshatriyas, has destroyed all the Rakshasas. He is telling to the Maricha. Maricha's face grew dark as he heard Ravana's words, and he was greatly alarmed by the proposal and being almost half dead. The Maricha, when he heard the Ravana is giving him the proposal that he should go and abduct Sita, but Sita is weak, she is a lady, as a Rakshasa you can go and somehow you can capture her. The moment she will be in our camp and as our prisoner, then we can talk to Rama and we can punish him in that way. But this was not appreciated by the Maricha. Maricha again and again said, who has given you this idea? And he is telling, oh brother, Sulabha Purusha Rajan Satatam Priyabadinaha Apriyasya cha Pathasya Bhakta Bhokta cha Durlabha. This is a great idea in administration. He is telling, O king, in this world, there will never be a difficulty for the people to tell you the sweet words, but that may not be the truth. So, Sulabha Purusho Rajan, O king, there are all the time, there are people who are ready to just tell you something, just to get some benefit from you. They are Priyabadina. They will appreciate, oh, you are so good, you are so, every decisions are correct, but they are not your friends. Apriyasya cha pathasya bhakta bhokta cha durlabha. But when someone is telling you the truth and pointing out your weaknesses, appreciating that and rectifying and correcting that is really, really difficult. Very rare people can do that. Whenever someone is in the administration, when become a king, it is very difficult for the king because ego plays so much. He is not ready to appreciate the criticism, even though that criticism may be very constructive criticism. Maybe that will help him. But unfortunately, because of his ego, he cannot accept that. So the Maricha again and again is telling, who has given you this idea to abduct Sita? You are not only inviting your own death by that way, at the same time you are going to destroy the whole civilization of the Rakshasas. And truly that happened. The Rama destroyed the whole civilization of the Rakshasas. Not that all the Rakshasas were bad, but when it is blamed like that, And in the war, even those who are not involved into it, they also get that destruction, that misery they had to suffer. So that is exactly where we can find, because when we read this story, we find this person, he transformed him through his miraculous power as a golden deer and attracted the attention of the mother Sita, and Sita wanted to get that golden deer, knowing very well that it is impossible, a deer cannot be like that, and asked Sri Ramachandra, can you please catch that? And it is naturally for a husband to give a gift what she is wanting, and Rama, knowing very well that it is impossible, a golden deer, chased that deer. And after some time, but before that, he asked the brother Lakshmana, give me the word that you will never leave the Sita alone. You must protect the Sita. Friends, maybe in our next class we will discuss this. This what happened, the Lakshmana, he was very, very obedient to Rama. But sometimes out of emotion and out of anger and maybe not understanding the truth, sometimes the ladies, they say something to the male folk which creates the all problem for them. So one should not comment in that way. Even the words that the mother Sita used for Lakshmana, that was so heartening. Most of us, those who have read the Ramayana, we know this particular incident that happened over there. Had it not been there, the Ramayana would not have been. And then Ravana, maybe Ravana would have been killed by Rama, but not that the whole civilization be destroyed. What happened there? This Maricha was convinced, because the Ravana was the king and he wanted that Maricha should work for him. He pressurized him. Maricha went over there and passed like a golden deer. And Ma Sita noticed that, requested the Rama to catch that. Rama followed, knowing it very well that there is something wrong in it. And that is why he asked the Lakshmana to protect the Sita till he comes back. Whatever happens to me, give me the word that you should not leave Sita. Lakshmana said, okay, I will be protecting Sita. The Rama went to catch that. And when he shot that, the deer, immediately that golden deer, actually that Rakshasa, Maricha, he, in the voice of Rama, called for Lakshmana. Oh brother, I am in great danger. Please come and save me. Sita heard that. Lakshmana also heard. But Lakshmana knew no one can harm Sri Rama. It is impossible. So he was not disturbed. He knew something is happening. Whatever it happens, he was on his post guarding Mother Sita. But Sita, she was thoroughly disturbed. Obviously, as a wife, when she heard the voice of Sri Ramachandra and calling for help, she told, oh, Lakshmana, something happened over there. Rama is calling you. Won't you go? The Lakshmana told Mother, don't worry. No one can hurt Rama. It is just the Rakshasas. They are playing with us. Something wrong. I should not leave you alone. And moreover, I have given the word to Sri Rama. I cannot break that word. I should be here. And at that time, Mother Sita, out of anger, out of confusion, she used some words like, oh, you like to get me after Sri Rama. And that is why you want that let Rama die over there so that he will get me, the Sita. That was a terrible word for the Lakshmana. Because he never ever thought Sita as a lady, but he always thought Sita as his mother, as his own mother. Sumitra instructed him, you must consider Sita as your mother, as me, your mother. So Lakshmana, he was considering in that way, and not only that, it is said that the Lakshmana never looked at the person of the Sita, only looked at her feet. When that very Sita insulted Lakshmana, doubted the character of the Lakshmana, it was too much for him to bear. And then she said, you must go and help the Sri Rama. And you all know the Lakshmana was also having some power, spiritual power. He made a round with his bow and said, Mother, do not come out of this. I am putting all my power into this to protect you. Whatever happens outside, please remain inside the cottage and do not come out. There also Sita made the mistake. That's why sometimes they say that the emotion is terrible. Emotion forces us to commit mistakes. And Ma Sita repeated that mistake again. When the Lakshmana went over there and the Rama saw him and said, hey, why you are here? Why you have left her alone? You should not have come over here. You know nothing can happen to me. Lakshmana told, I know that, brother, but it was impossible for me to be there. Because Mother Sita is doubting my character. It is not possible for me to be there. So that is how the Sita, that is the mistake, and that is called the Maya. Though herself was the Maya, the power of God, but at the same time she made that mistake. Now friends, how things happen? We also made this type of mistake and then we suffer, and that is the reason whole thing when we are reading about it, and it goes on like this again and again. Rama and Lakshmana, when they came back to that cottage, they found the Sita is not there. Why? In the meantime, as the story goes in, when of course that Rakshasa was killed by Sri Ramachandra, but the Maricha was killed. But in the meantime, when the Lakshmana left that cottage to see what has happened to Rama, Ravana came in the form, in the garb of a sannyasi and asking for the alms. Ma Sita thought that a sannyasi has come, let me go and give some alms. Maybe because of this good work, my husband will be saved. So this is the emotional way always the mothers, they think. And she, when she went to that, immediately remembered that I should not cross that boundary that Lakshmana has given, Lakshmana Rekha, that is a very famous way they always mention, I should not go beyond that. But that sannyasi also, in the Ravana, in that form, was going on insisting that you must come, you must come. Ravana was destroyed. Ravana is being hated. The Jugas after Jugas. Why? Because of these reasons. If he had come and fight with Ramachandra, because the Rama insulted his sister, Shurpanakha, and killed his brothers, Sharadushana, and killed the other Rakshasas, maybe that history would have praised Ravana in a different way. Any hero will do that. Any Kshatriya hero will do that. But he did a completely different way because the Akampana advised him And his own sister also gave a very fearful idea about the Rama and Lakshmana, and he thought that by this way. And here also he is putting the garb of a sannyasi. No one should insult this garb. Even the people, those who are in an indifferent way, they utilize the religion for their own purposes, selfish purposes. They should not do it. Because this is when that saffron color comes, people have the great faith on this. The thousands of years it has been developed in such a way that whenever someone is putting on the saffron color, that people, they believe him as a holy person, and they believe that this is a person we can believe. We can have faith, we can depend on him. If that is also destroyed, then where the faith of the people will go? If the children cannot believe the parents, so if I go and with the father and the mother, I am safe, where they will go? If the sisters and other brothers, junior brothers cannot have that confidence, my elder brothers or sisters or mothers and father or the auntie, the uncle, they are my own, they are not going to harm me, then what will happen to this world? Where they will go? Whom they will believe? So that was the heinous sin that the Ravana committed. So one should not do that. Anyone, whoever, putting the garb, in the story of Sri Ramakrishna, there was a person who is to go and show different type of the plays. In those days, the villages, they were not having the TV or any other amusements. So sometimes some people, they used to come and they used to play, and there will be a different type of mimicries they used to do. They will change their voices and talk in different way. So the people used to get joy. That there was one person, he was famous in that, he was very good in that act, and he was acting as a sannyasi. They used to do that for money. But when he came as a sannyasi and he was behaving like a sannyasi and talking like a sannyasi, and the landlord, the rich man, was very happy. So he wanted to give some the money to him as an appreciation. Then he said, no, I am not going to accept it now. Then he went back, changed the dress, and came back as his own self, and he said, sir, give me that gift to me. The Jamindar told, hey, that time you are not receiving. I wanted to give you. You refused. No, that time I was sannyasi. The garb that I was putting on, actually it is a sannyasi. So my mind was in that, and I am not supposed to accept as a sannyasi that money from your hand. That will be insult for a sannyasi. And that is the reason I didn't accept that. By this story, Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna wants to tell us that there is a great respect for the Gerua clad people. And thousands of years it has developed. If we break it just for some political, economical or social purposes and some short gains, if this long tradition is destroyed, it will be very difficult for the society to rebuild it. So one must be very careful. If you like to cheat others, that is there all the time in the society, try to do that in your own way. But do not take the name of God or use the holy people's garb for that. So that is the teaching. Ravana came in the garb of a sannyasi. Ma Sita believed him as a sannyasi. And as a lady, there is no hesitation to go to that sannyasi, because sannyasis are beyond the physical and mental, the lower level. They are always on the higher level. They should be. So obviously Ma Sita believed, and when he said that I cannot go over near, you have to come to me and give me, believing, she crossed that Lakshmana Rekha, the boundary that the Lakshmana gave, and immediately she was abducted by Ravana. So we will follow this Ramayana and what happened, and now and then whatever the religious advices we find in Ramayana, we will discuss. So thank you, friends. Thank you for giving this opportunity to read and discuss the great book Ramayana. Our generations after generations, people are reading this book and getting the inspiration to become spiritual. May that Supreme Lord who came in the form of Sri Rama bless us all. Let us say Shanti 3 times and we conclude. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat.